You're listening to Rio Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out rioradio.com.
One of the cornerstones to our business is educating our customers. Because I think real estate investing industry is a lot of people that come into this industry, they have no idea how to run a business. They don't know how to market. They're just like, flipping houses seems super cool. And people just don't have that background. They don't go to school for it. People come in and they have all these assumptions of what they need to do. And they might be from other people telling them what they think that they should do. And they're just kind of going in there blindly. So the biggest piece for us is like educating them on what is the proper process and the theory and strategy of why it's the right way.
Welcome to Rio Radio, episode 234 with Justin Silverio. Did I say it right?
You did.
Yes.
Very nice. Not many people get that right.
First time. I didn't even ask ChatGPT or anything for that, so I'm good. Justin, the question is, what did you do with the first $84,000 you made on your fire damage rehab? Did you just burn it, or did you use that towards getting more postcards out there?
Yeah, it was definitely doing much more direct mail. Yeah, okay. Marketing. That was the biggest thing when I started early. Everything that I made was reinvested in the business to just do more deals.
I mean, I think the very first thing I would do is go out to a nice dinner, buy a shirt, and then my wife would say, okay, you got to do one improvement on the house. Because every time a nice check comes through, that's the very first thing that she makes me do. Like, I just had a nice check come and she goes, I want new carpet on the main floor.
Dude, that's awesome. My husband's like very first check, which this was like a military re-signing bonus, but he made $70,000 and he's like, I'm going to Best Buy and buying every single thing I've ever wanted. And he just spent $20,000 at Best Buy. Like, it was insane. But yeah,
wow.
He was reinvesting it. Love it.
Yeah,
you didn't splurge at all?
What's that?
You didn't splurge at all?
No, early on I didn't, because it was all about like just focus. I'm always somebody that like, it's hard for me to enjoy the moment. And I'm always like, okay, what's next? Like, I never went to any of my graduations, like my high school, my undergrad, graduate school. I never went to graduations. And my parents were always like, are you kidding us? Like, we spent all this money and we just want the graduation. I was just looking for the next thing. I was like, okay, check that off. What's next? Let's go. So that's kind of how it's always been.
My brother was the same way. He's like, I'm not going to go to graduation. My mom's like, I spent so much money on you going to, it was actually college. She's like, you're going to put that cape on and you're going to have a party because you're the first one to graduate.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I will say I am better at it now, though. I'm a little bit better at it now. I try to enjoy those moments.
So you've been to more reunions now than you have events in high school?
Still no reunions. but I try to enjoy the moments, the wins. Right. That's a big piece, and trying to join them with myself, my family, or my teammates.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to dig in a little bit to this fire damage house, because I can't believe you made any money on fire damage. Quite honestly, like, I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So is that like one of your first projects? You're just like, I'm going to do a fire damage house.
I think that was either my second or my third property that I rehabbed. It was ridiculous. But the only reason I did that is because, like, I partnered with my father from the beginning. I knew numbers, and he owned a construction company for like 35 years. So I felt really confident going in. Even my first property, we did an addition on our first property. We made like 12 or 13 grand. I was pumped. My father was like, we should probably make a little bit more money. But that's the only reason that I was like, okay, I think we can handle this. But even jumping into it, he was like, I've never really done a fire damaged house. And when you get in there, you realize that it's not just the fire isn't the biggest issue. It's the water that they use to put out the house. That is also a huge issue, to make sure that you're mediating any mold or anything like that. And then all the charred wood, you have to make sure that you are dealing with that appropriately and identifying whether or not you need to replace it or you need to seal it in so you don't get the smell out. So that was like all new to us. But luckily we got it at such a discount. They had it on the market. It was actually an expired listing. They had it on the market. They took it off because they had a fire, and they got reimbursed from the insurance company, and they sold it at a huge discount because they already made up the difference. Mm-hmm. So we were able to get it for a great deal. And luckily, we walked out of there with some good money.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to buy a firehouse. I had a client. We sold like a 42 house package. and one of the houses caught fire during rehab. It already had the new electrical, new air conditioning, HVAC in her. It was 90% done. And he's like, he offered to sell to me for like $15,000. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that scares me because the permits, the inspections are already so hard here in this town to do that. And I might as well, because every time I take on a house, it's already completely like, it's been vacant usually for about 7 years. And then I'm doing a full rehab. It's like new construction already. But I'm scared to do that. And I just figure I always find that there's going to be that thing that I'm missing, or I'm going to be stuck in it for, twice as long. And all my rehabs already go twice as long. So any other tips you would give for somebody who wants to do fire properties?
I think it was like, if I were to do it, would I do that on my second or third one again? If you got a big enough discount, but I think you kind of go into these like businesses or like rehabs and stuff like that. You don't know what to expect. So you're kind of almost going in blind, and that can help you or hurt you in a certain way, right? The ignorance that you have on what could really go wrong. But luckily it worked out into our favor. But yeah, now that I understand like what needs to be done and what things that you need to look for, it's not as bad. You just need to get it for a really good discount because there's a ton of unknowns. And that was the big thing. Every time I looked at doing something new, like when I got into rehabbing, it was like, okay, I want to make sure that we have really solid numbers. And then as I started to move up the chain of like lower end homes or first time buyer homes to mid-market to high end, I had to make sure there was huge spreads because I knew I was going to be messing up and forgetting about something or not doing something properly. And I needed a good buffer. So anytime I changed like strategy, I'd pass on deals that were good, but just didn't allow for a really big buffer for me. And that's kind of how I always kind of transitioned my strategy.
Was your dad like a main mentor role model in doing this? Because you can't just jump into this stuff not knowing what you're doing without making some real mistakes.
Yeah. If it wasn't for my parents being so my father owned his own business. My uncles own their own business. My brother owns his own business. So I always knew I was going to do something entrepreneurial. So my parents were always just very big advocates of like, do what you're passionate about. You can do whatever you want. And then when I saw an opportunity for real estate investing, I asked my father and I was like, I know the numbers, but I don't know construction. Would you be interested in like partnering? He's like, absolutely. He's like, if that gets you to where you want to go, I'm happy to like work with you, teach you everything that I know, and then you can like keep on moving on. And he's like, maybe I'll just fund the deals for you. So he was a huge mentor, my mother and my father.
So how long did you end up working with your dad? Like, did that partnership last, or was that kind of just a stepping stone for you? Is that awkward at Thanksgiving dinner? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had a number of partnerships and all of them have ended, but some have ended well and some have ended not so well. But with my father, it was great. There was he very easy to work with. He's, just very supportive. So it ended when I think we worked together for about 4 years. So a good amount of time. And then it was just a natural point that he's like, all right, I think you got this. Like, I'll just keep funding the deals. So then we try to do like some deals we do together, other deals I do myself. And then other deals, I had another partner that I was investing with. So we kind of did that. And then he kind of took a back seat and was just there for support. And I was like, hey, I need some help, or can you look at this project? And he would love that. So he's like, can I walk through our house and take a look and see what you're doing? So it was awesome. It was nothing but support from him. So we have a great relationship.
I think I'm at like 3 good partners and like 9 bad partners is my ratio.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the.
Yeah, I tried switching it because I was the workforce and not the money in the first ones, and then I started being the money, and those didn't work either. So I'm just not meant to be partners. My wife's like, no more.
I'm the same way. It's really hard for me to have a partner, and it's funny because one of my most successful partnerships, it ended within a year. But I think the best thing that we did, and this was on him setting it up, he's like, all right, let's plan for what we want to do in business. But just as important, let's plan for separation. Mm-hmm. Like, what does that look like? If we're not doing X, Y, and Z, how do we identify that and how do we split?
Yeah.
So we set the end up in the beginning to know when we need to go our separate ways. And we went our separate ways. I think it was probably maybe a year and a half or so after that. And he was actually just at my house last night. And we have a great relationship. And it was all thanks to him kind of setting that up and making sure that we know when to part ways and not to have any hard feelings.
my last failed partnership was last day of last year, and and I set the ending up just because of all the torture I've gone through. And I'm like, if we're going to do this, and I'm putting the money up, I have 100% signing rights, and we're 50-50. But I have all the decision making on the business. And also, if I choose to end the business, I have 100% rights to choose to end the business, even without your permission. And that's how we wrote it in the deal. And I was bringing more to the table than him, and he agreed to it. And then in the end, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy you out for $1, and I'm going to do it on the last day for taxes. And he's like, he apologized, and he said, I understand. But yeah, it made it so much easier. And I was just giving some advice to somebody in our RIA group that was starting a new business. I go, you guys are in your honeymoon stage right now. Pretend it's like you're dating your girlfriend for the very first time. You guys can say anything right now. I go, put it all on paper, exactly how it's going to look when you end. And I go, your life is going to be so much better because it will not last forever. And if you do this now, it'll potentially save your friendship.
Yeah.
So I'd say exact words. I mean, that's money, what you just said.
Yeah. And it's funny because even with partners or like people on your team, right, your employees that you work with, a lot of times too, like if you're splitting or you're letting somebody go, a lot of times on the other side, they already feel the stress and pressure. They might just not be showing it or telling you. And when you deliver that news and like, hey, I think we both understand, because you're likely trying to push them. Things aren't working out. So you're putting pressure on them. You have to do this, you have to do that. And they feel that pressure. And, you know, when you let them know you're going to split or, you know, let them go, it's almost like a release, right, of pressure from them. And a lot of times I see that, you know, the pressure is built up so much that when you let them go, they're like, you know, I was feeling the same way. And this brings a lot less stress to me. So it's usually amicable and everybody already sees it coming.
You mentioned your dad. How early did you start doing construction work with your dad? Like, when did this start? Like, were you like still in pajamas, or like how far back do we gotta go here?
When did I start working with him? I was probably in middle school, summers.
And what were you doing? Drywall or painting?
I was doing insulation under like decks, like additions and stuff like that. Yeah, I was doing all the brutal stuff.
Was he paying you, or was this free labor?
Yeah, no, he was paying us. He was paying me. My brother and I would do that. So, I mean, the summers were great because it was brutal work. It was like really tough work outside in the sun. We'd be like, you know, painting or doing insulation. But that's just what I knew. And I mean, looking back, I loved it because I learned so much about construction. It's funny, like when I was working in like private equity venture capital and I was talking to like my coworkers, they're like, hey, I have an electrician coming in to like change like a light fixture. And I'm like, what? You don't know how to do that? I'm like, you're paying somebody like a couple $100 to change a light fixture? So it's like, I didn't realize how valuable that was at the time until like I started hearing that people couldn't do these like tasks around their house. Or like, you know, I put trim up on a weekend in my house because I'm like, oh, that looks a little plain. Like I'm going to trim this out and just do it myself. And I don't realize that that's like a gift that my father gave me that I didn't really realize.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I used to work side jobs with my dad too, and we would do like remodels and stuff, but he would pay me per task. So he would pay me like $2 for every outlet that I would replace. And I was like 8 years old swapping out outlets and doorknobs. I would get like a couple bucks for a doorknob. And I started to realize like if I could work faster, then I would make more because he wouldn't pay us by the hour. He would pay us by the task. And it was just huge in growing my like business, my little tiny baby business mind of like, I can get more done. That's and awesome. I can make more, but also like those things like doing trim and cutting wood for fences and all of those things. Like it just seemed like part of life once I got into real estate.
You know, doing all these interviews, it seems like the generational wealth of people that are like just super successful, they're following the steps of their parents in some way. Maybe it's construction, maybe they were investing. So many times it's like, hey, my dad was investing. I was watching what he was doing, you know, and I had all the education that people were just learning in their 20s. It was just part of life. Yeah. And I think when you're doing the construction, you're a lot more comfortable with it. Then the flips just come easier. Life is just a little easier and you're already a couple steps ahead of everybody else.
Can I share something speaking on that too? Yeah. What I've been doing with my kids.
This is what we do.
Yeah. So something that I've like been really enjoying with my kids. So I have a 14-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son, and probably about 4 years ago, every year we give them some money to invest in stocks. And, you know, everybody can do, it could be $50, right? That you do it. It's not so much the money, it's the process in which you're taking them through. So what we would do is we would give them some money and then we would give them like 10 stocks to pick from. And those 10 stocks are like Roblox, Disney, Apple, like everything, things that they know and they've heard about, Starbucks, all that stuff. So we'd say, okay, there are 10 stocks here. You can work together or separately, but what we want you to do is do a little bit of research on them, and we would help them out a little bit to like go through like one company. So it'd be like, okay, let's take a look and do a little bit of research on this company X. And we say, okay, here's the share price. So if we're giving you X amount of dollars, right, you have this many dollars to invest in 3 to 4 different stocks. So here's the share price. Now, based on the share price, how many shares that you can buy. That will make sure that you're not going over budget. This is what the company does. This is how you find out. This is what the company's planning to do, right? So we just went through like some basic stuff, and we had them do that and work together on it. And my son definitely takes more to that. My daughter's like, oh, come on. Believe me, it's not a very easy task for them to just be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is great. But they went through the process, they did it, and they presented to us what they wanted to invest in and why. So we would ask them questions, they would answer them, and a lot of times they were like, I have no idea. But then we're like, all right, let's just see if we can answer the question and find out. So at the end, we said, okay, let's now, use the money, and then you're going to place the order or like invest in the stock. So we would go through that process. We have like a broker that we work with. We got on a video call with a stockbroker, and he was talking directly to them, not me. So he was asking each kid, what are you going to invest in? What are you going to do? How much do you want to invest? And they would go through that process. And that's what we would do like once a year. And every month they get their statement. And my daughter couldn't care less. She doesn't even look at it. And my son, every single statement, he's looking through it. He's looking at what's increased, what's decreased. And he's telling me, he's like, Dad, take a look at this stock. Look at how much it jumped up. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. And he gets so excited. He even has it on his iPad. He had me put the stocks into just like a stock tracker. So he'll like look at it, but it's so interesting. My daughter has no interest, but she's still going through the process. Mm-hmm. My son, I can see it's like he loves it. He absolutely loves it. So that's something that I do with the kids. And I think it's going to pay off in dividends because every year they understand the routine, the process, and they can see their money growing. So we can get into different conversations of like how your money grows for you and how it compounds and all that stuff. So I love the process. And this wasn't my idea, by the way. This was my stockbrokers. It's all him.
Are they trading the stocks too? Or are they like, oh, let's sell this and then let's go into the other one? Like when they look at the statements?
They don't. So it's more like long term. Every year they can change it up and like they'll get recommendations from the stockbroker. He's like, oh, this grew. You kind of have a lot of exposure here, or this one's down. It's probably not going to do great. But he'll talk to them and it's up to them on what to do. Basically, we're giving them like, a buffer of like what they should do, but it's up to them to make that decision. But they're not like trading throughout the year. They'll just kind of track it.
Well, I mean, the way I'm picturing this before you said the stockbroker, I thought maybe you got them each their like own Robinhood app or something like that. And it's on their iPad and they're like, okay, I'm going to sell today. I'm going to put it into this stock.
Yeah.
It's so valuable though for kids to be like exposed to that at a young age and kind of have the risk removed, right? Like it's not their money, but they can still kind of go through the motions of that.
Yeah.
And just like, I have 3 kids too, and they're just all so different, right? You're saying your boys until your girls not so much. My firstborn is so money motivated. She is like, anything, man, can I do something for you for money? Can I do something? Can I do something? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You can start cold calling my dead leads. And if you get a house from me, I'll pay you $1,000 per house. And she's like, $1,000? Yes. And so she's just on it, man. She's on the phones.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
$1,000 in stocks.
I'll give her the $1,000. She could blow it at Best Buy for all I care.
That's great.
I love that idea. I'm going to definitely try that. But my kid would definitely want the app because I could just see him like going through. My son would be the one analyzing. My daughter, she'd be the same thing. But also my kids are 7 or 8 and 12.
Okay.
So, I could see my son taking that extremely serious.
Yeah.
But man, we just started doing the green card. Yeah. Or green light.
Yes. Green light. Yes.
So they get their own debit card. It's a Visa debit card. And correct me if I'm wrong. My wife runs it. You have an app and you can see all their expenditures. You can control every expense. And then also like we create chores and like extra chores that we want done around the house. Like I want pool filters cleaned. I'll pay you 50 cents every time you clean a pool filter. And if there's something dead in there, it's $5. And so we have these things. Well, if they complete the task, then they can click it on their app and then request that they get their payment.
That's cool.
Oh, they can click on the app. I did not know that.
As a parent, you can set up a whole bunch of tasks to do.
Yeah.
So like my daughter, I'm trying to get her to do all my accounting paperwork for me. So all my scanning my receipts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, hey, so you just go through this pile of 1,000 some receipts and you just flatten them all out and get them ready for photos. I'm going to pay you $20 each for each business LLC that you scan in. I'll pay you $100 for each one that you go through and scan them. There's 2 years of receipts in there. And, so she can get paid on that. And anyway, so you can task it all out. And then also the kids can set up how much goes into savings. 20% of all the money comes in. My son is now saving to put towards buying his first car because he says he's not going to have a slow car.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
So yeah, those kind of fun things you can do.
I love that. I didn't know that about the chores because the challenge for me is like, we'll give the kids and be like, all right, here are your chores. They'll do it for like the first week or maybe 2 weeks, and then they'll never do it again. And then it's like up to my wife and I to be like, did you do your chores? And like, we always forget. So then it goes to the wayside, but I like that they can specifically. So if it doesn't just pay them out automatically, they have to specifically push that. That's nice. I actually like that. I think I'm going to start using that.
We try to do chores that are day driven. So the pool filters have to be cleaned every day, and we notice that. And then every other week we trade off on who has to pick up all the trash cans because trash goes out on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So they have to go through and pick all the trash cans and clean everything out and so on and so on and so on. So I know we're going to deep dive. It has nothing to do with real estate right now, but that's kind of what this is all about. But
all right, I'm going to steer us back.
Yes,
I'm going to bring us back in here.
That's my point, Megan. I was like, Megan, I know you got one right.
Question. All right, so where are you at right now, like in your flipping business? Are you still flipping, or are you just doing the SaaS products, or is it some of each?
Yeah, so I'm not investing anymore. The only thing that I'm doing with real estate investing is doing private money. So I'll lend private money to a number of investors that I've been working with throughout the country and just invest in their deals. And they're most all rehabs or like rentals that they're just refinancing and getting out. So like a 6 month hold is kind of what I'm doing. So I'm focused, solely on my SaaS product and my marketing business right now.
Do you want to lend on my deals?
I could do that. We can talk after.
I'll definitely hit you up. We got some deals in the pipeline.
So I know probably in the next 5 years, what I want to get into that I haven't done before is storage units. Okay. That's an asset class that's really interesting to me. So that's a place that probably in the next 5 years, I'm going to start looking and acquiring those.
It's like my hot topic right now. And luckily, since we have the local RIA, I like to bring in people on topics that, like when I was really focused on Airbnbs, I brought Megan and other people in to come speak on Airbnbs. And I'm really focusing on storage units right now. And are you familiar with Fernando Angelucci?
I'm not.
So he's a Brazilian native. He's based out of Chicago, 34 years old. He's got $400 million in storage units.
Wow.
And he's done
that's ridiculous.
And he's done it all in under 10 years. And just phenomenal person. If you want to connect, I'll definitely. He is an open book, and he's not money hungry. He is extremely intelligent, and he will partner with you. He'll oversee your deal. He'll just be your guide. But he doesn't sell coaching, and his whole goal is he's like, I can retire right now, so my whole goal is just giving back and helping other people.
That's amazing.
But
that's very cool.
I'll connect. He's just a superhuman, and we've had him on the podcast and had him speak. So definitely do that.
Awesome.
I do that. I don't want tenants, so I love the idea of car washes and storage units.
So when did you make that transition from real estate to SaaS, and then what did that feel like? Yeah.
So in 2016, well, at the end of 2015, I was still working my full-time job. So 5 years into my real estate journey, I was investing and working a full-time job, and it was crushing me. It was absolutely crushing me. Real estate investing was starting to get really busy for me. I was doing a lot of deals. I was working around the clock, weekends, nights, early mornings. And in December, I remember talking to my wife. We were sitting on the couch. I almost felt like I was going to have a mental breakdown. I was like, and I was nervous. So I'm conservative by nature. So my background, I'm an accountant. So I'm very conservative. And I'm like, okay, I have this job that's very well paid and it's consistent, right? You get handcuffed to your paycheck. And it was really scary for me to leave my job and do this full time. But at the point, I was like, I can't do both. And I was going back and forth. What should I do? And she's like, you put so much energy and effort into what you're doing with real estate. You are going to look back and be so upset if you don't go this route and do it full time and leave your job. And that's one of the biggest things. There's no way I'd be doing any of this without the support of my wife. She was like my number one. And she was there right by my side the whole way, and a big, big proponent.
That helps so much when you have a spouse supporting
it's huge.
you.
I would say it's probably the one of the most important things to somebody's success. It really is, because they are living with you 24/7. They are going to feel the good times and the bad times, the stressors, which there's a ton of ups and downs. And if they're not there supporting you, it's going to be a really hard partnership moving forward. But luckily, she was right there with me, trusted me with everything that I did. And she was like, you have to quit. So I put in my notice. I think my last day was January 26th, 2016. And right before that, so I had a blog for about 4 years detailing everything about my business, the numbers, how I got the deal, how I talked to, pictures, walkthroughs, everything like that. And I got a good following from that. And people are like, dude, how are you getting your deals? You're getting these amazing deals. And it was all direct mail. That's what I kind of focused on, because it was easy for me to just send out mail. My wife and I would do 500 mailers a week. That was our goal. We'd send them out and we get responses. And I had this system set up at work that if a call came in, I would get an email, and in the email, it would be attached a label, and it would say driving for dollars, or absentee owner, or equity, or tax lien. And depending on what list they were on, I would jump out of my seat and go outside and make a call when I was at my office. So that was kind of how I did that. So a lot of people were asking me, how did you get your deals? And I said direct mail. And they were like, okay, can you start doing my direct mail for me? So I started to get some people around and doing their direct mail. And then that's when I was like, real estate's great. You get big paychecks, but sporadically. And I like consistency. That's really important for me. And I was like, if I can do direct mail and just do 100,000 mailers a month, that will pay for everything that I need to live. And then the real estate's above and beyond. So I have the consistency in one business, and then, the real estate in another. And I'm somebody that I always have two things going on at once. My wife's like, you can't just have one freaking thing. You have to have multiple. So in January 26th, I launched Open Letter Marketing, which is a direct mail provider for real estate investors. And then this is a long answer to your question. But then about 2 to 3 years after that, so about 2018, 2019, that's when Open Letter Marketing started to really take off. So I think we hit Fortune 5,000 or the Inc. 5,000 list.
Wow.
In 2019 or 2020, but we just skyrocketed. So I had to put a lot of my energy into the growth of the business. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, real estate's going very well, but the marketing thing is taking off, and I'm able to automate it and have a lot more control. There's less variables than real estate investing. And I feel like that's a much more sellable asset that, I can make maybe the same amount of money in both business, but at the end of the day, I can sell my direct mail business if I wanted to and have that sellable asset. So I decided to really focus and hone in on the marketing business. And then from there, it didn't take too long before I was like, okay, I need to do something else. But it was just really the conversation with a lot of our customers saying the same thing over and over again, that they're missing a huge piece in the software for the business. And I was like, I had the same issue. And that's what, created Invelo, and my idea to create Invelo.
Invelo, is it named after envelope, or I was kind of wondering?
No, that's a good, it's close. You would think that, but it's both investor and velocity. We put those two together.
I was wondering about that, because I was like, it's envelope, mailers, or
Yeah.
So, okay, you transitioned because you thought it was going to be more consistent, kind of that, I don't know, smooth out the income, right? Mm-hmm. Was it actually that way, or is that kind of a fallacy? I feel like we always look at a shiny object and we're like, oh, this is going to be way better. And then it's kind of also not.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think if I put my energy into either one, I could probably have done just as well. I mean, scaling and growth, you think that, oh, that's great. It was the most challenging thing. It was my worst years of business. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. I don't think I've ever been so stressed out in my life. So that was a hard piece. But on the real estate side, for me, even with real estate, I was never somebody that wanted to do a lot of volume. I just wanted to do less deals, but higher return. So when I started getting in there, and at the time I kind of graduated I started at rehabbing, entry level, then mid-market, then high end new construction. And then I went into Boston and did like multifamily condo conversions. So the deals and the numbers were getting much higher. And then I had to deal a lot more with zoning. The time, instead of taking a 6-month turnaround, it would take like a year or two to get approvals, right? So it started to eat in. And I was like, is this like, I like the money when I make the deals, but there's a lot more risk in it. And is this somewhere where I want to go? And I just looked at kind of what I wanted to do and what felt a little bit more comfortable for me. And I went with the marketing business. But to this day, I miss the construction piece. I miss it so much. I absolutely love construction and designing floor plans and all of that. Like I went to high school for drafting and architecture. So I have I can do my own AutoCAD and floor plans. I really miss that piece of it.
Just get a hobby property.
Yeah, I know. I should.
or design your next house.
Yeah.
You got to get something going to get those creative juices flowing.
I feel like I'm right there right now. Like at the beginning of this year, I was like, I was flipping probably like 20 houses a year and then bringing on another 10 rentals. But I was like, I'm either going to flip 40 houses this year or I am going to get hired by Brandon Turner to run First Deal. And so I just put it out like that. Like, if you want to hire me, you need to do it now, because otherwise if I have 40 flips going, I'm not going to have time and bandwidth for that. And so ended up coming on working for Brandon. But I'm in this point right now where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on Zoom meetings all week long and I'm like not used to it. I just want to get dirty and like paint a house or carry lumber around just in circles. I don't even care. It's so stagnant. But so what are those things that like when you're getting started in that completely different business that were way harder than you thought they were going to be?
I think the biggest one was hiring. That was the most challenging piece, and managing. I mean, you're gonna get that with any business, right? But this was the first business that I was able to scale and have a lot of employees. So I would say that was probably the most challenging aspect, is learning to be a good team player and knowing who to hire, what seats to hire, who fits those seats, and just to be a good manager. And I don't like manager, like everybody knows here, there's no like hierarchy that I look at. Like everyone is equally just as important as I am. Like I'm no more important than they are. Everybody has their tasks and things to get done, just like I do. And I try to make sure that everybody has that kind of sense of ownership in the company. But it took a long time. I don't even know how many people that, we brought on and let go. But that was probably the biggest stressor, especially when we were scaling, because I didn't know how to hire people properly. And we just made bad hires. And, there would be times that people were running the print operators and they wouldn't come in, or that they wouldn't even call in. So I'd have to like jump back there and start like using the printer and inserting envelopes. It was a really challenging time.
So how do you overcome that? Like, how do you hire now that you actually get good people?
So there's a couple of things. So one, we don't hire just on skills at all. Like if they can do it, great. But we hire based on like personality and their passion. So the process for us now is my COO will like make sure that she's interviewing them from the perspective of like, do you have the skills to do this? If she like approves them, then they come to me, and I don't talk to them or ask them anything about skills. It's all about like, tell me more about you professionally and personally. Like, what do you enjoy doing? I want to know what they enjoy doing, if they have passions outside of business, because if they're passionate people, then they can bring that into the business. And I like people that have passions, that have ambitions and all that stuff, because it all goes through and shows in their business sense. And also I want to make sure that I work with people that are similar to me, that enjoy traveling and enjoy family. Everybody here knows family's number one. If you have a family issue, no questions asked, go take care of it. Right. So that's making sure that everybody just has the same type of personality and things that they find most important line up with our kind of vision.
I love that.
Hey, Justin, how big is your staff right now then?
Open Letter Marketing, we're about 22 people. Invelo, I think we're about 12 people, 13 people.
And I want to deep dive into what Invelo is, but you have the CRM. What services are you providing outside of the app, like where you need the staff? Is there some hands-on part that you're doing with your clients?
Yeah, with Invelo?
Yeah.
So some of the things that we do, like our customer success team will work with, like go through strategy. So that's the big thing. In both companies, one of the cornerstones to our business is educating our customers. Because I think real estate investing industry, there's a lot of people that come into this industry. They have no idea how to run a business. They don't know how to market. They're just like, flipping houses seems super cool. I was one of them. I was like, flipping homes seems super cool. and I want to get into it. I don't know a ton of things. And people just don't have that background. They don't go to school for it. So that's the biggest thing is like people come in and they have all these assumptions of what they need to do. And they might be from other people telling them what they think that they should do. And they're just kind of going in there blindly. So the biggest piece for us is like educating them on what is the proper process and the theory and strategy of why it's the right way. So anytime we work with somebody on Invelo and open letter marketing, we try to give that, education. So in Invelo, we have strategy calls with some of our customers, and it's like, okay, how do we find the best prospects for this strategy? Or how do we create this marketing campaign, right? We can do things like that I don't think that other CRM systems really understand, because it's really hard to have that understanding when you're not a real estate investor first. And, everybody on my team, we go through education internally. So they understand as an investor, how are they looking at, like, why is this kind of process important to them? What is the overall goal? How does this affect them? Because we find a lot of people, they'll ask us and they're asking the wrong questions. They're asking us how you do X, Y, and Z. And then when we ask them, well, why do you want to do that? They tell us and we're like, oh, okay, you actually want to do it this way, because if you do it this way, you're going to see that you're not going to hit that roadblock that you would have done the other way. So it's a lot of that we have really good domain knowledge that we can help our customers out with.
How many counselors do you have on staff to help with people getting hate mail? Talking through that process. I mean, have you guys seen how many letters come back from people? They have to write, scribble all over it. Like they don't have zero life.
Yeah, writing or calling. Yeah.
Yes. So do you have a staff to kind of talk people off the edge when it comes to that?
So yeah, I mean, as far as
we don't jokingly,
we don't answer any of their calls, but like from my point of view, you have to have thick skin, right, when somebody's calling you back. But I look at it this way, is I'm likely not the reason that they're so angry calling me back.
True.
Everybody has stuff going on in their life. Everybody has stressors. And real estate's an emotional business. If somebody's selling their house, there's emotion behind that. It's not like you're saying you're going to replace their roof and it's just like a transactional thing. Buying or selling a house is super emotional. So if you send them that letter and they're already to their limit of stress and you just knock them over, I let them vent to me. I just let them go off because obviously they need to do that with somebody. I'd rather them do it to me who they don't know than their family member. Yeah. And, I just talk through it and say, I'm so sorry. I understand what you're saying. And a lot of times I can take their conversation from them yelling to me to like having a calm conversation with me. So when somebody does call me, like in the beginning, I was super stressed out and nervous. But then after, I kind of almost welcomed it because I could allow people to have that outlet of like venting, which is kind of weird.
So
you're kind of like,
yeah,
I know, really. But it does make me, feel like I can help people just vent. They need to do it to someone, and just talking through it and having empathy with them. Yeah. So that's kind of how I view it.
In my years of sales and always having that, I always found that when you had that upset customer, that was your best opportunity to create a customer for life. And I never really thought about it in this aspect, but I mean, it's the exact same thing. And you hit it right in the head because it's always those people that were something screwed up. And because of how you handled the situation, you're able to get the deal done or, get them to leave you a glowing review because you actually sat there, listened, took care of the situation and made it right. Yeah. I love that response.
Yeah. So you had kind of glossed over it, and I feel like it's too important to just like get lost in the conversation. Is you talk about your team helping with the strategy of the open letter marketing. And like I've done direct mail marketing through a different postcard company and just, throw crap at the wall and see what sticks. Probably did it totally wrong and then went, that didn't work. I don't love it. Move on. Right. So now they're not getting my business as a customer, but I'm also not getting the lift in my business from doing direct mail. So what is it about your guys' like strategy that actually makes direct mail perform better?
Yeah. I mean, we take a holistic view and not just look at the marketing that you're sending, but we understand there's multiple components, right? The person's investment strategy is a big component. For instance, if you're just an investor and can monetize from like a wholesale or a rehab, that's one strategy. But if you can monetize it as an investor and a real estate agent, you have different ways to purchase that property. So just based on that strategy, for the first one, you might just want fewer calls and really high quality. For the second one, you might want a lot more calls because you can monetize it in multiple different ways. And if anybody has an interest in selling, you might be able to deal with it, right? So you might want more calls, but maybe lower quality, but you have good follow-ups. Okay, so strategy is an important piece that we take into consideration. I'm getting a little thumbs
We
up
always
right
love
now.
it when it does that little thumbs up.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know
It's
how
always
it works,
surprising to me.
The best one's the fireworks, and then it just
Yeah.
explodes. Every once in a while, pop up like, how did that happen? Everybody listening has no idea what we're talking about right
now. And then the other piece is like data. And a lot of people may or may not realize how important data is. But that's why we always look back from the beginning. What are the pieces that will impact your direct mail campaign? It's not just the marketing. It's your strategy on how we're going to set up the campaign. It's the data and making sure that you have quality data that you're starting with. Because I know as an investor, I'm going to spend a lot of money or time with my data reaching out to these people. So if I don't have a good list, I'm going to be wasting a ton of time. My ROI is going to be really low, and I'm going to be super unhappy and stressed because I'm spending money or time. That's where we start. And then we curate a strategy for the person based on kind of those kind of aspects and through the campaign. And we really like to do, other direct mail companies will just do like one-off mailers. And they're like, okay, let's do a mailer and then come back and figure out what you're going to do next. But we like to carve out and say, all right, let's do a 4 to 6 mailer campaign. And in that campaign, it's like a conversation with the seller. And the whole goal is to provide them with more information, get them to understand more of the benefits of working with you, to create that trust and rapport with them. Because whether or not people know and understand, people are understanding who you are before they even talk to you. So they have a good perception, and you always want to keep a positive one. So we always really hone in on creating that trust and rapport with the seller. So when they're calling you, it's going to be a positive conversation. So these are all little things, and like color, the copy, what you say, that all takes into account. And even the mail piece. Some people will respond to different types of mailers. Some people won't even respond to postcards. Others will respond to like handwritten letters. So we try to take all that into play and curate the best campaign, and then review the campaign over the process and then make adjustments.
So you're sending out like 4 different mailers, different copy, different everything. You're not just bashing them over the head with the same thing.
That's
just
right.
trying to get in the right time. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Are you starting to develop like stats per like region? Like, hey, you know what? In Boston, we see that this type goes really well. In Omaha, we see this type really goes well. Are you starting to develop those stats and then sharing those with your clients as well?
Yeah, we have some stats, but it's really hard to get consistent data from our customers. But we know by, like talking to them if they had a lift or not and what they've done. But it goes back to like, I know generally what works and what doesn't, but it all comes down to strategy. Because I just had a call yesterday and they're like, hey, somebody told me to use like, check mailers where you put an offer on it. And we were just going through that and saying, okay, well, what is your strategy and what was their strategy? What geographic area and demographic are they talking to and who are you talking to? Because it could be different. You might not be able to get any results on check mailers, but postcards might work better. Mm-hmm. So, marketing is all about starting at a good place because we have the understanding and knowledge, but also tracking your results and making adjustments. That's all it is. Being consistent is super priority.
For somebody that's listening to this, and we've kind of glazed around a lot of it, but somebody that's really like wanting to get in this or has a system that's already created, but it maybe doesn't feel like they're maximizing their ROI. Can you give us like a overview of what both your companies offer and what separates you from other companies that are in your area, in your realm?
Yeah, sure. So we'll start with Open Letter Marketing. Open Letter, we're a direct mail provider. We focus on strategy. So anybody that wants to get into direct to seller marketing, that wants to work with direct mail, again, as I mentioned, we're probably the only company that knows strategy so deeply. We look at ourselves as like your marketing partner, not just like a order taker. Okay. So we really hone in on strategy and understanding the depths of it. And there's many times that I'll jump on a call with the customer if they have questions or anything like that. But all of our team members are just as knowledgeable as I am because we have conversations about these strategies. So that's Open Letter Marketing. So we can do any type of direct mail. And we even have a tech product to integrate into any CRM. So you can automate direct mail through a third-party CRM. And you can even do one-offs. So the big thing right now is a big strategy for a lot of investors is speed to lead. So once a pre-foreclosure filing hits, they automate a direct mail piece that can go out one at a time. So it can immediately send, and it will send within 2 days. and get first to that prospect that's going through a pre-foreclosure. So that's the ability that we have in open letter marketing. With Invelo is, think of a, expansive CRM platform. So you can build lists, you can manage your CRM, you can do deep prospecting and understand from different data points of the property, what types of sellers they are, if they're within your kind of investment strategy. You can send marketing out from the platform. You can have lead management, automated lead follow-up. We have workflows and automations. We have KPIs. We have deal management. There's a lot on that platform. And the reason we created it is because so many investors have like 3 different software systems, one for pulling lists, one for managing marketing and their prospects, and another one for like lead management. And when we started, I was like, well, the challenge for me and for most investors is those systems are not talking to each other. So they don't understand if they got a deal, which list did it come from, right? That's a big problem for investors. And they solve that by just getting a ton of different phone numbers, one phone number per every list. So when they get a call from that number, they're like, oh, I just got a call in from this number is for absentee owners. With Invelo, you don't need to deal with multiple phone numbers because everything is tracked from the original source all the way through creating the deal. And then we can better inform you on how you're performing in your business. So we can do we have a lot more data about your business than any other platform. So that's kind of how we separate ourselves, and that's where we're going with that. And now building an AI to give you those key aspects and to go back into your database and say, you've done these deals, let's look for the prospects that are similar to these deals and pluck those ones out. And hey, you don't need to build lists anymore because we understand the process and so many people get confused on it. So we've done it for you. Just tell us your geography, what types of properties you want, and how many leads you want. And we will give you the best leads based on list stacking and identifying different motivating factors. We're the only platform that can do that, all automated. That's actually launching on Wednesday. So that's just coming out. So we're really excited about that.
We always get the buzz first here.
Yeah, there you go. You're the first ones to know.
And is that all done with AI? The AI is doing that?
So with our autopilot, we're calling an Invelo autopilot. That one is built on the structure of understanding motivating indicators. So while you could say it has a little bit of AI, I wouldn't say it's full-blown AI.
Well, Justin, I love everything I'm hearing about Invelo. I think that anybody that's listening to it right now is going to definitely want some more information. We'll put those in the show notes so people can link right to you. And then hopefully maybe there's some time that we can have you come down to Omaha if you're ever traveling through and talk to our group. We usually have anywhere from 150 to 200 people in our monthly meetings. And if you're ever down for that, let's definitely talk about
I love that.
Because we have a great group down here where you could talk to and probably get a lot of opportunities. Also educate the people here in town too. So
I'd love to.
Lift up good old Omaha, Nebraska up a little bit. Hey, I don't think have done this in probably about 2 or 3 years, but I do have some rapid fire questions for you just for fun. Right. And I have not prepped you on these, okay? Okay, so rapid fire. Flip or hold? What's your guilty pleasure?
Flip.
Worst contractor horror story?
Oh, this is supposed to be rapid fire?
You can make it fun.
Okay. A contractor basically defrauded me and my partner and had fraudulent insurance papers and everything like that to show that he had insurance, completely decimated the property. And we probably were in the hole about $50,000 because of all the issues that he created in the house. Oh, and then he went to jail because he defrauded so many other people. We had to go to like federal court, and he went to prison for maybe 5 years.
Wow.
I would have to say that every failure I have in this industry has revolved around a contractor.
Oh, that is the hardest.
Not me. Yeah. I screw it up for myself sometimes. Yeah. Pretty often.
Yeah. You ever hear her first flip story? It's pretty awesome. Hoarder house, firehouse, or Cappy house? Which one are you picking?
Hoarder house.
Hoarder house. If Invelo had a theme song, what would it be?
A theme song?
I was reading that 1 second before saying
it. I don't even know where to begin with that one. I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer on that.
Probably have to be something you listen to in the gym or something like that.
Oh my God. It very well could be. Yeah. I don't know.
It's just a fun one we have thrown at you. Okay. So we have a section that we famously call Failing Forward. And failing forward, I'll let Megan take it and explain what the failing forward is.
Okay, so failing forward is we've all been in this place in real estate where we screw up something, but it really catapults our growth. So what is that failure that has really catapulted your growth that you wouldn't give up?
I'd go back to focusing on hiring. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I was so scared to hire my first employee that I held off on it for so long. I don't have the money for it. How am I going to be able to pay them? And, where am I going to get the capital? Making sure that I need to have cash coming back in. And then, once I did that, it just absolutely opened up the doors to really allow me to grow a lot. And then going back to, learning to be a good team member, manager, how to make sure that my team is committed. That probably took the most amount of energy from me of learning that, because I was just like, everybody's going to have the same mentality as me and grow this thing just like how I would. And then you have so many different personalities, and being able to understand how to speak and talk to somebody. Like I will talk to different employees different ways to, make sure that we understand each other and have that good line of communication. That was probably the most challenging for me, but that's created so much growth and opportunity that I truly feel like I have, like, everybody's a partner instead of like an employee. And that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, I love that.
That first hire, was that a VA or in person or?
In person. Yeah, it was that's another story. I was working in my basement, and I was interviewing, and I was like, walk around to the back side of my house and the basement door. That was like I don't know if that was on the ad, but I let them know. But luckily they knew of us in town. So she's like, all right, I knew you weren't a creeper. So luckily she came in, and she was with me for maybe 4 or 5 years. Long time, but that was my first hire.
I think my first hire was, I guess in this industry was a VA, and we're going 2 years strong, so we're doing pretty good. But my biggest failure was taking the time to train him originally and giving up trust. Like, I don't want to give access to, especially somebody that's overseas. I'm like, I don't want to give access to all my accounts, my email, this, and this. Mm-hmm. So it took me forever, and I was really reluctant to release. So I wasted so much opportunity those first 6 months because I had to feel like I was connected with that person before I could, really start giving it up. And then he tried quitting on me like 6 months ago, and I know he's listening to this because he vets my podcast. And then I'm like, dude, it took me so long to build up my trust. You can't just take off because I'm not going to hire anybody else.
Yeah.
And my first hire was a nanny, but we were still living in the trailer behind our flips. So we're living in like a 30-foot travel trailer. I'm like, I need a nanny. Like, I can't get anything done on our businesses. And I'm sure she was like, this is by far the weirdest situation I've ever been in.
Was she doing her work inside the trailer or
yeah, she was
in the flip house?
She was a trooper, man. She would just go whatever I threw at her. So
she's still around.
That's amazing.
She worked for us for a few years, and then once she got like married and started having her own kids, she decided to do that.
And you have a full-time assistant now.
I do. Yeah. And she's also amazing. She's been with us for a few years, and she just runs every single part of my real estate. It's like the absolute best hire I've ever made. Yeah.
And what's her name again?
Natasha. Yeah. Shout out to Natasha. She's a real winner here.
We met her at the REI event. Yep. Yeah. So that's good stuff. Were you at the REI?
I wasn't. No, I was not. No,
you going to any conferences?
I don't go to a ton of conferences. Next year, I'm going to start making the rounds again to more conferences, but it's so hard to get me like out of the house. I'm like such a homebody with my family, and it's hard to like get out, but I go to like some masterminds and stuff like that I'm a part of.
I just figured that Invelo would have a booth at almost every single one of those conferences.
Yeah, we have in the past for like BP. We've had a booth at BP and a number of other ones, but we've held off for a little bit because we've been really focused on just having everything curated and coming through our kind of original channels. But we'll get back out to that.
How much is a booth at BP?
I don't even know. They have a huge range. I mean, I think you can go from like 100,000 at the top one down to like maybe a couple $1,000s.
Interesting.
Maybe like $6,000 or something. I'm not sure.
See, the booths at my event are way cheaper than that. Nobody should be complaining.
I mean, they bring in a ton of people too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have tickets to the next BP. I've only missed, I think, one. And there's an event for RIA owners, and it's always on the exact same days as BP. And I tell them every time, I'm like, come on, guys, let's not even have it on the same week. Like, work with us here, because some of us like to go to the investor ones, especially the bigger ones. They're like, you need to come to one of our events. You've never been to one. It's been 5 years. So now I'm like on the fence of getting rid of my BP ticket or not, which it's in Vegas. I want to go. Well, hey, we're getting towards the end here, and we definitely want to wrap it up with our section called the should we call it the MT? I don't know. OT. I mean,
No, it's still overtime.
okay. Yeah.
I think it works.
Okay, let's get in the OT with Megan and Ted. A little switch around. This is where we got 5 questions that we ask every guest, and they've been mixed up over the years. And sometimes we throw a curveball in there, but we're gonna keep it easy on you, Justin. We know you've had enough curveballs today. So, Megan, we ask the first question.
Yeah. So, if you were going to write a book, what would it be titled, and what would the topic be?
Okay, can I do 2 or do I have to do 1?
You can do whatever you want.
You can do 5.
Spot.
Yeah.
5. Okay. Well, one I would do probably direct to seller marketing, like done right, and put everything on the table and just give a guidebook to exactly what an investor needs to do to make sure that they are starting out properly to get deal flow when they're going off market. Because there's so many, like I said before, assumptions, or people said this, so I got to follow that. But I know from experience working with thousands of investors throughout the country, the proper strategy to go about. So that would be one of them. And then I think the other one would be how to manage and this is a topic that I absolutely love. We could talk for hours on this, is how to manage being an entrepreneur and like having a family. And I think that's one of the hardest aspects to this whole thing, is like entrepreneurship and running a business is already challenging. But now when you have a family, kids, wife, spouse, whatever it is, and you have to juggle all of that, that is so tricky. You can't juggle both at the same time as well. Something's always got to give, but being able to manage that and how to work through it, I think that's something that I would love to write about.
What's your one takeaway with work-life, family-life balance? Is there certain things on your list that are just non-negotiables that? Yeah,
I mean, for me, I think it's like, having perspective. When I want something, I am like, nothing is going to distract me and I'm going to go 100% at it. But over time, having that perspective and kind of stepping outside and saying, okay, what are you giving up? It's like opportunity cost, right? What are you giving up to do this thing that you're so focused on? And if it's wholly focused on this work thing and you're giving up your family time, then you got to reprioritize that and making sure that you're not taking away from everything that you have. Because, my kids are getting to the age, my daughter's 14. I only have a few more years with her before she moves off. And I want to spend as much time as possible with them. So that's kind of always what I look at, is like, I try to pull myself out of that, even though it's really hard to do, and saying, what am I giving up to do this thing? And am I willing to do that? And a lot of times that will help and curve what I'm trying to do and how I get there.
I find that I just try not to say no to anything that's an opportunity. So if there's a volunteer opportunity at the elementary schools, because my kids are still in elementary school, then I'm going to volunteer at it. I'm going to go on that trip. I'm going to ride the bus to wherever I got to go. If it's a play, I do all the Valentine's, Halloween, everything, all those parties, because when am I not? And then I think I'm coaching 3 sports this year. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
that's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
you're the real winner. I just try to say no to all of those opportunities.
I just try to say no.
I'm like,
what about Jeff? Is Jeff saying yes to him?
I'm sure Jeff is. He's such a great dad. Yeah. He's much more into that.
Long as I got one, because my wife can't say yes to any of it because she's a school teacher. So they don't let her off at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I'll go to all the games, but I won't. I'm not coaching or anything. My wife coached when they were younger, but I'll go to all of them.
I figure once they're out of elementary school, my coaching ability will have no value to them.
That's where you're capped.
Yeah, I'm coaching select basketball and I'm co-coaching volleyball almost at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So and I told my son I'm not coaching his football anymore because I never played football. And so all the other coaches were so above my league that I was more like the inspirational guy. So I did stretches, warm-ups, and inspiration. Okay, so the next question. It's your podcast. You can interview anyone in the world today, preferably live. Who's the person you want to interview? Doesn't have to be real estate related.
Yeah.
And what's one question you want to ask him?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
definitely.
Man. That was mine. You know that, right?
Really?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. Wow. He was always influential since like high school. I got really into exercise and working out. I went to school for exercise science, and he was always the one person. I'd always have a poster of him on my wall. I've always be watching like Pumping Iron when he was like working out. So he was like a big piece. I even in my home gym, I still have a picture of him in there. So he was like a big influence on me. And I think the question maybe that I would have is like, even going from bodybuilding to being in movies, there was a lot of adversity. And people are like, you can't do this. Like with your accent, with what you do, like you can't do this. And he kept on getting shut down. So I just asked him, like, out of all that adversity, how did you, have the wherewithal to like push through that and commit and believe in yourself so much? Because he's done some pretty amazing things, since his bodybuilding. And a lot of people don't realize that he made his first million in real estate, which is super cool too.
Yeah, he invested all of his first money into buying real estate in the early years, and it's the main source of his wealth today.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's why I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah,
and sad thing, Hulk Hogan died yesterday.
Yeah. I know, terrible.
Yeah.
I spent so many hours with my father watching wrestling, and I actually met him at one of the mastermind events. Was it a year or 2 years ago?
God, he was just in town selling beer like 6 months ago.
What? In Omaha?
Yeah.
What do you mean selling beer on the corner?
He has his own beer brand.
Oh.
And he was
he does.
He has a Hy-Vee, and he did a signing and beer launch here in Omaha, Nebraska.
That's wild.
I had the best meme that I'm going to pull this up right now. You guys ready for this? And so it's Ozzy Osbourne and Richard Simmons.
Yeah.
And it says,
I think I know what you're going to say. You go.
Ozzy Osbourne still outlived Richard Simmons, causing many to seriously question the healthy eating and exercise thing.
Yes, I saw that one too. I was like, no way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a perfect caveat into you just died. So sad, super sad day.
She doesn't seem sad at all. She just
I know.
Smile.
She's smiling.
It's just so awkward. Like I cannot ask this question with a straight face. It's like nervous giggles. Who delivers your eulogy, and what do you want your legacy to be?
I mean, I think my wife, for obvious reasons, or my best friend, because my best friend known me for longer than my wife, since middle school. So probably both of them. And I think just what I want to be remembered by is like just my positive outlook. I try to always look at the positive in everything. I try not to get negative. If other people feel like upset or down, I always try to bring some positivity into them. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having a good overall, feel for life, and always being that positive person that really tries to uplift everyone else if they're going through like a challenging time. I really enjoy doing that.
It's awesome.
That's deep. Okay, I'm gonna get a little deeper though. This
man, I don't know how much deeper.
Okay, so we stagger it like this so we can just get the waterfalls. Okay, so if you could give a shout out to a mentor in your life that's had the biggest impact on you, who is it, and what's the one thing you want to say if you could speak to him directly right now?
That's a pretty easy one for me. It's my parents and my wife, right? That's very easy. They had the most dramatic impact, and it was likely even before I realized that they were my mentors when I was growing up, of just the support that they were giving me and the ability to do what I wanted and be in my passion. And even though my father owned a business and he could push us into that, which he was just like, you don't have to take over this business. We want you to find your own path and passion. I went to art school. I went to exercise science. I went to accounting. I was all over the place, and they supported me throughout, and not like, what are you doing? You're all over the place. They just let me kind of do my own thing and make my own path. There were huge aspects of where I am today. And my wife goes without saying. I mean, she was there through every single step, the really, really hard times, the great times. And I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be working for somebody else if it wasn't for her. Her support is the biggest thing.
I don't think in almost 5 years of doing the podcast, we had one person say that their biggest mentor in their life was their spouse.
Yeah, I can't think of one either.
So yeah, shout out to you.
Kudos to your wife.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so this has been great. I really, really, really appreciate your time. How can listeners that are listening support you? Where can they get a hold of you? How do they reach out?
Yeah, so to reach out to me, I mean, they can just honestly, I'm pretty open. They can email me at justin@openlettermarketing.com or justin@inveloapp.com, INVELOAPP.com. Like, I'm pretty open. So they're welcome to email me there. If they want to check out, both of my businesses, openlettermarketing.com or inveloapp.com. But if they have any questions, anything like that, or if I can point them in the right direction, I'm always happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming on. I don't know why I'm brain farting on who hooked us up. And
I know, I have to get that.
we'll have to figure that out. So thank you to that person that connected us. And thank you to Megan for filling in for the absent Owen Dashner. And thank you to Aiden Bear, our producer today. And on behalf of RIA Radio, we want to thank Justin Silverio, the angry homeowner counselor over here on RIA Radio. Signing off. Radio edit. Where do you want to go from here?
I don't know. I was just wondering that.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I took it over.
No, you're fine.
Ran off into the woods with it.
You are the most put together podcast I've ever seen. You have scripts and notes and everything. You're passing stuff back and forth. This is great. Honestly, this is the most fun I've had on a podcast. I felt like the conversation just led itself. This was awesome.